Hey folks, John from Hennco here again. Thanks for joining us once again. As you can see here, we're on site at a customer location. We've got an Accustream Hypertherm pump, and one of the things we're going to show you today is how to do check valve maintenance.
All right, to see how we got to this point, you may want to watch one of our previous videos, Accustream Hypertherm style Intensifier disassembly. All right, let's jump in. We are going to grab the cylinder that has the check valve attached to it, setting it on its side on a workbench, and we're going to go ahead and grab a rubber mallet, rotating the cylinder and check valve, tapping on the edge of it in an attempt to go ahead and break free the check valve from the cylinder. Wiggling as seen here will help, and eventually you will be able to break that free. Please note that Hypertherm Accustream style does have actually 3 different check valve assemblies out there. The one that you can see here actually does not have one of the brass rings on it, which is going to be also the style that Hennco sells and was one of the earlier versions of what Hypertherm Accustream used to sell. At this point, we're going to want to go ahead and grab the O-rings on the outside diameter that make the water inlet seal, and as you can see here, we're going to take those off and throw those away for now. Alright, with the Hypertherm Accustream style check valves, you're going to notice that the low pressure poppet is not attached to the check valve body. In fact, it lies inside of the cylinder, inside the spacer tube. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and tip that cylinder on its end, removing the low pressure poppet from the basket. Once the low pressure poppet is free, let's go ahead and set that alongside of our check valve and we can begin our repair. All right, at this point we're going to want to go ahead and inspect the low pressure poppet and the check valve itself. Based on the age of the check valve, you guys should always keep track of the hours. It's one of those things where you want to look at the condition and decide if it's worth cleaning up the parts or is it time to replace them. In our case here, the customer had said that there's no known check valve issues, so we're going to go ahead and clean up the check valve as seen here with some Scotch-Brite and put this check valve back to use. Also with this customer, this is one of the original Accustream check valves that actually has about 7,000 hours on it. And with this design, without the brass washer, one of the things you have is a metal-to-metal contact between the face of the check valve and the cylinder, which both become a little bit distorted cosmetically, so it's good to take some Scotch-Brite and clean up those surfaces. All right, once we're done cleaning with our Scotch-Brite, we're going to want to go ahead and take some brake cleaner with some cloth towels and clean up all of the check valve from any of the dust or grime that we might have been left behind from the cleaning. All right, next we're going to move into how to lap your check valves.
All right, so today we're going to start with, because our check valves are in pretty good shape, we're going to start with the 800 or the finest grade, and you can go with a little bit higher if you want to. I've seen guys go upwards of 1500. So what we've got here is a nice granite plate. I recommend using a granite plate. You can get these at McMaster Car. I like using a little bit bigger surface, and what you're going to do with this is if you use the sheets from Hennco, these do sit fairly well on the paper. You're going to want to use some sort of tape. In this case, we got the painter's tape, and you're going to go ahead and just line that up and run it across the top, breaking it off, making sure that we keep it as flat as we possibly can. It's a good idea to clean that paper as well and run some along the sides here, as you can see, and we'll get that paper on there nice and tight, so we don't want that paper moving around when we're doing our lapping. All right, when I like to lap, people have different ideas on lapping. They're all basically very much the same. Some guys will say to do a figure 8. What I like to do is go straight back and forth. It tends to work well for me. So when I come forward, I'm going to twist 90 degrees and then pull back, twist 90 degrees the same direction. I always like to go clockwise. In this way, you're basically not getting any marks that are always going the same direction. That'll create leak paths for the water, especially at high pressure. So we're going to go here a couple times, and you will see the marks on the paper where you're going. What you don't want to see is the check valve taking chunks out of the paper. And what we're going to look for here is a nice smooth finish, and eventually you will be able to see your reflection, which is really what we're after. Okay, so you're going to want to continue with this till you get the desired look that you're after. In which case, quite frankly, you're going to want to look. These are all brand new check valves. From the factory, they do come lapped, which is pretty much a great way to tell what kind of surface finish you want to obtain when you're done lapping.
All right, once we're done lapping, we're going to move over to a vise and go ahead and break free the check valve body from the output adapter as seen here. All right, once you've broken it loose, you can go ahead and unthread the output adapter from the check valve body, being careful as you're going to have some of the internal guts that may fall out. All right, in this case, we didn't get them to fall out, but as you can see here, we got the high pressure poppet there. The high pressure seat is still stuck inside the check valve, and then the spring is inside the output adapter. All right, we're going to make our way back to the bench here, bringing back with us our check valve and our output adapter. To start with, we're going to grab a pick and we're going to break free the high pressure seat from the inside of the check valve body, and then next go ahead and use the same pick and grab the spring, setting those parts aside as we're going to go ahead and utilize new parts. All right, let's grab a towel with a little bit of brake cleaner on it and go ahead and clean up those threads on the output adapter as well as the inside of the check valve, trying to remove as much of that blue goop and any grime that might have come along with it. At this stage, we're going to be ready to go ahead and reassemble the check valve. Starting with, we're going to take the high pressure seat. You can see we put it on a pick here just to help. And we're going to go take a brush and apply a decent amount of blue goop to the face that's going to come in contact with the check valve. Again, this is a metal-to-metal seat, so in order to have things break free smoothly upon disassembly and not have gulling, we're going to apply a piece of blue goop. Utilizing the pick, center that on the hole. And you can see here it makes installation a little bit easier, turning it the pick upside down and making sure that the seat is properly installed. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab that brush and the blue goop and apply clean blue goop to the external threads of the output adapter as seen here, as well as the face that's going to come in contact with the internals of the check valve. All right, we're going to go ahead and grab our high pressure spring here, our poppet spring. This is Hennco part number 25005. And along with the high pressure spring, we're going to need the high pressure poppet, which is Hennco part number 25001. And once you get the chance, you're going to go ahead and grab that high pressure poppet and put it into the spring as seen here and install both accordingly into the output adapter. All right, let's grab our high pressure check valve and carefully, you're going to want to make sure that the parts are not moving. Go ahead and thread the output adapter into the body of the check valve. Get that as tight as you can by hand, and then we're going to work our way over to the vise. All right, once at the vise, we're going to go ahead and put the output adapter end into the vise, and then let's go ahead and grab our 1-inch wrench and tighten like you would any other high pressure connection. All right, moving on, we're going to go ahead and try to lap our low pressure poppet. And as you can see here in this customer setup, not quite as ideal as having a granite plate, but does work. Taking lapping paper, and we're going to go ahead and use a figure 8 formation and go ahead and lap in that check valve poppet. And once we're done lapping the low pressure poppets, we're going to want to go ahead and take a little bit of brake cleaner and a clean cloth and go ahead and clean up those poppets to make sure that there's no residual grime or dirt on them as we install them. Alright, as we're looking at the Accustream Hypertherm style check valve, you're going to notice that the check valve, like every other check valve in the industry, has two different sides. You got the high pressure side and the low pressure side. With this design, the low pressure side is quite a bit different than those other check valves in the industry, where the actual low pressure poppet sits inside the spacer tube. Because of this design, we actually recommend that the low pressure poppet is actually lapped and or changed during the seal change. If needed, you can change the low pressure poppet without changing the seals. Again, it's just much easier to do this maintenance during a standard high pressure seal change. Alright, next we're going to go ahead and grab our inlet water O-rings. If you look, you're going to have the dash 031s and the dash 035s, 031 on the small diameter, 035 on the larger check valve diameter, and these are used to help seal the inlet water connection. Next we're going to go ahead and set that check valve aside, and if you're using the check valves that do not have the brass ring, we're going to want to go ahead and put a little bit of blue goop on the face of the cylinder. And we do this so that the face of the check valve without the bronze washer, the metal to metal does not gull, and it makes it a little bit easier to take that check valve out at disassembly. All right, let's go ahead and grab our assembled check valve, and we're going to go ahead and put that into the high pressure cylinder as seen here. Use of a rubber mallet helps to help the nose of the check valve seat inside the cylinder. And folks, that's it for now. That is the general overview of a Hypertherm Accustream style check valve maintenance. And as always, folks, if you have any questions whatsoever on your Waterjet, give us a call, 1-833-4HENCO.